folks, welcome back. Tonight we are continuing on with the law of vibration as part of our 12 laws of the universe series. If you do want to catch up to speed, I have the first video, the law of divine oneness, in a playlist. I think I titled it Laws of the Universe, something like that. It's there. I want to start by saying there's no particular way that you need to watch these videos. You can learn the laws at whatever pace you want, whatever law you want to start with. So yes, there is no particular order in which you need to watch these videos. It is your path. Do with it what you will. But I'm just going chronologically because that's how I roll. With the law of vibration, every particle in this universe constantly moves and constantly carries energy. It's constantly moving. And this applies to not only people's energy, right? You always hear raise your vibrations. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it also applies to things like our cosmos, right? Everything from the universe, the outward universe, to the earth below us. Everything is moving in its own particular rate and speed. We just can't see it. So oftentimes we can't see it. I'll say it like that. Oftentimes. So I just touched on frequencies, and you know, when people are like, raise your vibes. So in the spiritual community, or even in like the witch community, I'm going to say spirituality as a whole, because I think no matter what path you go on, whether it's witchcraft or Christianity, Catholicism, or, you know, being one with yourself, those are still spiritual practices. So I refer to everything as spirituality, and then there's all those different sectors of what path you choose to go on. So you can refer to it as spirituality, faith. That's how I personally see it. When you're talking about people in the spiritual community, or even just people in general, oh, I don't like their vibes, it's like, okay. What we have to realize is that it's not the vibration itself that is changing, it's the frequency. So we all have energy within us, but the vibes that you're feeling is just someone's frequency, what they're vibrating at. Because the vibration that we have is essentially the same, right? That goes with the idea of divine oneness. It's all the same energy, but depending on thoughts, actions, beliefs, trauma, people vibrate at different frequencies based on those environmental aspects. And a big reason why frequency, like vibration frequency, is so important for manifestation is that high frequencies attract other high frequencies because it's the same. So it's easier to get to these two things because they're the same frequency. But if you're rocking it down here and you want this thing that's all the way up here, it's going to be very difficult to get to this thing because you have to bypass all these layers to get at the right frequency of what you're looking for. So if you're at a low vibration, it's usually fairly easy to attract things that are of a lower frequency. I know I just said low vibration. I apologize about that. If you're rocking it here and you're getting a lot of garbage, it's because you're attracting it. It's not even like you're wishing that for yourself, but that's just naturally how it works. Like, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you the information. So if you're wanting things that are up here, you have to go through the work to get at that frequency. Because if you're not at that frequency, you're not going to get the thing that you want. Because like I said, you have to bypass all the layers to get to there. Things don't lower themselves for us. Things don't, I don't know how to explain that. Because I mean, people can lower their frequency for the sake of others. But when it comes to the things that we want, the universe is not going to give us the things that we want if either we are not at the frequency that we need to be at, or if we're not willing to get the work done to get here. Because the universe could be like, okay, here's a little sprinkle of something to get you to where you need to be. Let me see what you can do with it. And then if you continue to rock here and not try to go through layers, the universe is going to they're not going to give you anything else if you stay down here. They're going to give you the one thing that they gave you to work with. And then every time you get up a level, you'll get something else. And it's not always a reward. Sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes it's a tower moment. Sometimes it's something that we don't like, but we have to work with it and work through it in order to get to the other side so that we can get to our wish fulfillment. You know, the universe isn't there to punish us. So I do have notes, and I'm not going to kid you, I don't memorize scripts very well, so I will be reading off of this from time to time. So I do have a, not me personally, but there is a picture online that goes through the different emotions that we feel and how they affect our body's frequency. I'm going to place it here. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at it if you'd like, or you can even Google vibrational frequencies of the body. You can look that up and go to images on Google and get a couple different reference photos if you'd like. Colors vibrate at their own frequency, and that's why they're assigned to the certain chakras, to the seven plus chakras of our body, because that color resonates with the frequency of that chakra. So that's why it starts with, or the root chakra is red, because red resonates at the frequency of the root chakra, and it goes up the spectrum accordingly. With emotions, they also have frequency. Now, I don't have any proof, if you will, about emotions affecting our vibrational frequency, but if you think about it in the law of oneness and you think about your space in this world in general, our body is made up of body, mind, and spirit. It's a triangle all interconnected with one another, right? So using that as context, if our body holds vibration, that means our emotions do as well. And that also means our spirit does. I mean, we already know our spirit has a vibration to it. But that also, that means that your body and your mind, your brain, also have vibrations. Everything is just moving within us. So when certain emotions get triggered in our brain and we start to feel it, our body adjusts to that frequency. It's almost like our body adjusts itself to that frequency so that it can function. That's what I think of it as. And then, of course, whatever frequency you're at, whether it's low or high, that then gets reflected in your environment. So again, you'll notice in the first picture, the very, very first emotion that you see going from the bottom up is shame. And that is of the lowest frequency as far as we know, as far as I know from what I've looked at, it's shame. So any feelings of shame will really trigger the root chakra. I mean, shame correlates with stability in many, many ways. And our root chakra is associated with our sense of stability, security. Has to do a lot with the material world. Core beliefs. That's another, anything that grounds us and centers us, just grounds us to our current reality. Let's say you feel a lot of shame about yourself. It affects your root chakra. Well, now you're vibrating at that frequency of shame. So then other events in our current day and age that are of that same frequency, that low frequency, they're going to have an easier time making their way to you because you are operating on that frequency. So you are attracting that to you. It's not like you're asking for it, but it's just that's just how it works. I don't know how, and that's what I'm saying is some of these things are really, really hard to come to terms with, but we really create and control our lives. We really play a big part, major part in how our lives turn out. Again, not saying that anyone's ever asking for anything awful that happens in their life. It's just, there's all sorts of things that go into play when it comes to awful and great things happening in people's lives. Many, many factors. But vibration has a big part of it because we are magical beings. In my reading, and I'll put this link in the bio or link in the description as well, is that our natural frequency of us standing, of a human standing, is 7.5 hertz. Now, your root chakra, I want to say your root chakra is 390 hertz. And then sitting down, our body is functioning at 4 to 6 hertz, right? So just that difference alone, and that's what I'm referring to when I say that with everything vibrating, the tangibility of an object really depends on what frequency it's vibrating at. So I just mentioned that a human body is 7.5 hertz. Since our frequency is so low, that's why we're tangible, that's why we're physical. Anything that's physical in this earth is because it's vibrating at a low frequency. Now, it doesn't mean that all low frequencies are tangible, because like I said, there's shame, there's guilt, there's anger, there's all those emotions that are considered low frequency emotions, but you can't see them. It's just because it's a frequency high enough that you can't see it, right? It's not a tangible thing because it's a high enough frequency, but it's not high enough to be for your greater good, you know? And there are great things that can come from anger. There's different ways to transmute that energy so that it's something positive that will further elevate your frequency. But there are some things that you can do in regards to those emotions, anger, shame, and guilt, that can further lower your vibration. Like I said, our beliefs, actions, the way we talk to ourselves, that all plays a part in what we vibrate at. One example I'd like to use is a singing bowl. Doesn't matter what kind of singing bowl it is. So you've got a mallet and you bang it against the side or the edge of a singing bowl. Now that bang, that first initial hit, has its own vibration frequency to it. It's got its own thing going on. Look, more or less, it's got its own vibration with multiple different frequencies that it can then tone itself to. Because you're mixing the frequency of the mallet itself, right, the object, with the frequency of the crystal bowl or the singing bowl, right? So those two come together, bang, it creates its own frequency with many different facets that it can go. And then what the bowl does is it's set in tune to its specific frequency. So that bang, that energy transmutes itself into the frequency of the bowl, and that's the resonant sound that you hear, that you often, you know. And again, different frequency when the mallet itself, when they start, I don't know, finessing the bowl with the mallet. I don't know exactly the terminology for that, but when that happens, you know, when you hear the wub wub wub, that's a different frequency of its own, from my understanding. And another analogy that I thought of while I was writing down my notes is in regards to tarot. I like to think of the mallet hitting the bowl as the lightning strike hitting the tower in the tower card. And then depending on what frequency we are set to, whatever frequency that we are tuned into, determines the outcome of that tower moment. It will, whatever frequency we're tuned at, will determine how we react to that tower moment. I mean, when you take a look at it, when you understand this law in particular, you can really understand why people function the way they function. Because it all correlates. The law of divine oneness says that everything in and of itself is exactly that, in and of itself. We are all one thing. We are all fragments of one creative force, one creative life force energy. We are all bits of that. So let's say I get triggered and then I'm triggered because someone said something that hurt my feelings. So now I'm sad, maybe feeling shame about myself, and a lack of confidence. So jumping back to before I was in my spiritual journey, you know, before I started that path, I still have a lot of baggage, but I had way more back then. And that really influenced how I reacted to things. And I know I've been a toxic partner in my past. I know I have. I know I've been a toxic person, period. And we all have that capability to do so, to be that person. Because my default frequency was so low, I reacted to those triggers in a very low frequency way. I just wanted to use that as an example. I hope that makes sense. I just want to make that very clear that it's not easy to raise your vibration, but it could also help to do things that are of that vibration to help. So you don't always have to get to the nitty-gritty of things and do this extensive child work and this extensive shadow work and trauma things, because if you're not in a safe space to do those things, you are going to put yourself in a deeper hole. So do not do shadow work unless you are in a safe environment to do so. And I will always rep that. So if you're not in a space to do shadow work, if you're not in a space to safely access your wounds and work through them, there's different things you can do. I mean, there's just spread kindness in general, spread love. Compassion and understanding go a long way. Just know that at some point, demons do have to be faced. Or at least that's the way I see it. Maybe other people can function and be happy without doing so. But me personally, with the work that I want to do, I need to access my deep buried demons, and I need to work with them, not banish them, because those are still parts of me. but I need to learn how to love them and accept them for what they are, and learn how to work, you know, alongside each other. Balance. So it's a little bit of a tangent, but that must have been spirit, because I try to make these videos not too long. But that's all I have on the law of vibration. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, you can just leave them down in the comments. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we will see you in the next one. If you guys want to do a little bit of homework, our next one here is law of correspondence. So that'll be next week's video. Until then, take care of yourself.